Good morning. Welcome. Take a moment and subscribe, like, share. I want to remind everyone you could put your questions in the comments or in the chat box. I'll try to address it. What we're going to discuss today is the Maimer. It's actually the last Maimer that Rabbi gave out in 1992 before he had his stroke, and then he was not distributing any more Maimarim and really wasn't saying any more Maimarim, which is our Hasidic discourses or talks or anything of that nature. And this Maimer has a very important message, a lot of important messages. It talks about Purim, it talks about the role of Moshe Rabbeinu and the role of Mordechai Tzaddik and what that represents for each and every one of us. He shares a lot of insight in what type of treasures we have within ourselves. Sometimes they're concealed, sometimes it's not very active, it's subconscious, but it's very much within ourselves. And knowing it is motivational, and it helps us to realize what we're capable of doing. And secondly, giving us the tools to be able to bring that out, to be able to use it and bring it to the forefront so that it's active and it makes a difference. And the context is this week's Parsha, where we have the command, the mitzvah, the directive, to light a menorah. And the way that this happens is, good morning. The way that this happens is the pasuk, the verse says, "V'ata tetzava," you should command the Jewish people. It's God telling Moshe Rabbeinu, hi Mendy, it's God telling Moshe Rabbeinu, you should command the Jewish people to take for you a pure olive oil, which is crushed, in order to illuminate, to bring up a candle constantly. Now, the idea is like this. I want to use the original text from the pasuk, from the verse. It says as follows: "V'ata tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael." You should command the Jewish people. You meaning Moshe. God is telling Moses, "V'yichoi lecha," and they'll take to you, to Moshe, shemen zayis zach, olive oil, but it's pure. Pure means that it's only the first few drops. It's a very refined and top quality oil. Chasidus, it is crushed. Lamoer, to the source of light, which means for the candle itself, for the fire. Lahales ner tamid, to bring up a candle constantly. In the menorah, there was a candelabra in the temple that was lit every single day. And the command here is tell the Jewish people to bring you oil, which is olive oil, which is crushed, and so on, in order that you should be able to illuminate the menorah. Okay. Now there are several questions here and multiple things that don't make sense or are not consistent and require explanation. First of all, this is not obviously the only time in Torah that Hashem tells someone to do something, right? The Torah is full of edicts and directives and commands from God to Moshe. Tell the Jews this and tell the Jews that. Speak to the Jews this thing and command the Jews that thing. There's a constant communication going on, of course, in Torah between Hashem and the Jewish people. But it never says, Titzava, you should command. Hashem is commanding. And Hashem says, Tzav, let them know, pass on the information, tell the Jewish people. But when it comes to the menorah, the terminology used is Titzava, you should command. And you should command implies that Moshe somehow is the one that's commanding it, or the one that's giving it. Which is strange. Why is that the case, and why is it different than any other place? That's question number one. Question number two is just to clarify this a little bit more. It's not just a question of semantics. It sounds like Moshe is the commander, and he's not. He's just the one that's giving it over. So why does it say V'ata tetzaveh? So, and the second thing is, why is part of the command v'yichoi lecha, they should bring the oil to you? Why is it to you? We're discussing the Maimer of V'ata tetzaveh, which is the last Maimer that Rabbi gave out so far. And in this Maimer that Rabbi discusses the pasuk from this week's Parsha, the command to light the menorah. So Hashem told Moshe, tell the Jewish people, they should bring oil, crushed, refined, pure olive oil, and use it to light the menorah. And our question is, why does Hashem say you should command? I command. Hashem's commanding. Why is he saying, Moshe, you command? Throughout Torah, it doesn't say you command. He says, Tzav, Daber, tell the Jewish people this. But when you say you should command, it implies that somehow Moshe is the commander. He's not. He's a messenger from Moshe, from Hashem, to give over information. So why is this different? Also, when the instruction continues, it says they should bring the oil to you. Why bring the oil to you? Moshe doesn't light the menorah. His brother Aaron lights the menorah. So Moshe should tell the Jewish people, like any other mitzvah, just let them know that Hashem said to bring oil, bring it to Aaron. He's going to light the menorah, and we're good. What's this whole, you command, take you the oil. He's somehow becoming front and central in a task which is not his thing, and it's not what he does. Okay. Also, why is there a strange term? Bring the oil to the ma'ir. Ma'ir means the source of the light. Oil is not for the source of the light. Oil is in order to illuminate. The proper way in Hebrew to say it is laha'ir, to light, to ignite. Ma'ir means when you have a bonfire, for example, the bonfire is the ma'ir, and the light is what's shining. You don't bring oil for the fire. You bring the way you say it in Hebrew is you bring oil to light, to ignite, or for the shine. That would be the right way to say it, typical way to say it. And here it says la ma'ir. So number one, why is Moshe considered to be the one that's the commander? Number two, why we bring the oil to him if Aaron is the one lighting it? Bring it straight to him, like everything else that was brought to the Mishkan. And thirdly, why do we use this term of bringing the oil to the source of light? It's not the source, it's a function. Bring the oil so we have fuel to light. And also, lastly, it says, over here we say, for the menorah to be lit constantly, tamid, always. And later on in Torah, it says we don't light the menorah always. The menorah you light from the evening until the morning. So is it at night or is it always? We have 5 questions. So this is a mimer which is based on a mimer from the previous Rabbi that he said in 1927, a very risky farbrengen, if you will, which was a tough time for 1927 was a tough time, and he was being heavily persecuted. And actually, around the same date, he had a farbrengen, and he was speaking very, very forcefully about the importance to keep Jewish life alive and Jewish education, and not to worry about what the authorities say, many, many other things like that. And he explains in that mimer that in order to understand these questions, you have to appreciate what's the term titzava, what's the term of command, what is this, a mitzvah? And the mitzvah, we know this, but it's a fundamental concept of Chasidus that a mitzvah is a connection, because the Aramaic word for tzivoy is from tzavsa and chibur, which means to connect. And when Hashem says a mitzvah, it's not just information, FYI, you have to do this, or a command, but it's creating a connection between us and Hashem by this command. So when Hashem tells Moshe, you should command, what he's telling him is you should connect the Jewish people with me. Not through you, but by you. Create that connection. To clarify, it's not that Moshe is somehow in between us. There's a level, in order to get to God, you have to get stuck in between Moshe, so to speak. Moshe is an intermediary that connects, not that creates a separation. But the point is that Moshe is connecting us to Hashem, and that's the command. Hashem tells Moshe, you're the leader, you're in charge, you're the Moshe, connect them to me. So in the literal sense, it's command them to bring oil. But in the more deeper sense, it's, I want you to connect the Yidden to me. And through doing this, you will receive, not that Moshe didn't want to, but Hashem tells him, through doing this, you're going to receive some kind of benefit, some kind of increase, some kind of growth within yourself by doing that. Because your function is to be their leader, and by connecting them with me, it fulfills your purpose. There's a reference that Moshe Rabbeinu says it's 600,000 people, which means the men over age 20, from 20 to 60, that I am among them. But when he says that 600,000 people, he says 600,000 legs, feet. Why does he say feet? Because on a deeper level, we're Moshe's feet. We're his legs. Moshe is the head of the Jewish people. We are called soldiers, or he calls it here feet. And just like by a person, your head wants to go somewhere, but it can't go on its own. It needs the feet to get you there. Moshe wants to accomplish certain things. We're a unit. We have the ability to move him there. He tells us where to go, and we go there. We're his legs. We're taking him to where Moshe wants to reach. So when Moshe connects us, he gets an increase in him, which means he arrives at the destination, or he reaches the goal of what he's supposed to be doing. So the feet that I am among them, as a result of them, I'm reaching where I'm supposed to go. And this is why it says we should bring you the oil, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to connect them. You're going to command them, which means you're going to connect them. And then they're going to bring the oil, which represents something greater, an additional, an increase, something beneficial. They're going to bring it to you because you're going to have this benefit from it. Now, I don't want to focus so much on the benefit part because it's not the point here. The point is that it's a connection, a relationship between us and Moshe. To understand this deeper, he says you have to understand what is Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu in Zohar, he's called the Raya Mehemna, the shepherd of faith, or the faithful shepherd. And there's two explanations there what it means. One explanation is that he's faithful, he does his job well. He has to be somewhere, he does it, he makes sure that we're taken care of. The Jewish people have a problem, we got in trouble with Hashem, we worship the golden calf, or Hashem wants to do something to us. Moshe comes and he intercedes and he begs and he asks and he prays. He's faithful for us. We need water, he comes to Hashem and says, they need water. The problem with Parah, Moshe is a good shepherd, he's faithful. That's on a basic level. But on a deeper level, Moshe is a shepherd of faith, which means he's shepherding faith within ourselves. He's making sure that Yidden have emunah, faith, trust in Hashem. What do you mean make sure? Every Yid has emunah. We're born with it. Part of our neshama, the fact that we have a soul, gives us faith in Hashem. But the problem is, sometimes it's very, very subconscious. It's very hidden. It's not active. It's somewhere deep down, and yeah, of course I believe. But it's not impacting my day-to-day life, because if I believed, I wouldn't do certain things. So Moshe is a shepherd of faith, means he's nurturing that faith that we have within ourselves. He's shepherding it, he's bringing it out. So not just he's a good, faithful shepherd, but Moshe, the Rebbe, is bringing out from within ourselves what we have within us. He's showing us that we have that emunah. He's making it to be much more conscious and much more effective, and so on. And this is not just Moshe Rabbeinu in the times of the Jewish people going out of the desert, but it's Moshe in every generation. The Gemara says that Mordechai in his generation was like Moshe in his generation. Every generation has a leader, head of the Sanhedrin, head of the Jewish people, who functions in that way. And look at Mordechai. What was his purpose? What was he trying to do? It was to strengthen the Jewish people's faith. He gathered the Jewish children, he had them learn Torah, he helped them be committed to our emunah, to our faith, because the decree against the Jewish people was for any Jew. They weren't trying to get us to assimilate, they weren't trying to get us to convert, just wanted to kill Jews. However, people don't realize this, however, if they wanted to denounce their faith, that wasn't an offer. But if a Jew came along and said, listen, I'm converting, God forbid, then he would be exempt from this decree. No neighbor could come along and just kill him because he wants to. In other words, you're stuck. If you're not Jewish, you're not Jewish. And no Jew, and it was for a whole year, not one Jew came along and said, I'm too scared. Well, kill me if I'm Jewish. No one said, okay, I'm going to convert. I don't mean some great people of the Sanhedrin or some great scholars or people. Anyone, man, woman, child, nobody, and no one's perfect. And nobody said, where did they get that from? Because Mordechai was their Rebbe, and he was pushing, and he was encouraging, he was getting the children, he was learning, and he was teaching, and he was bringing out the faith that they have within themselves. And we'll stop here, but what he explains later is that that's the Moshe Rabbeinu's function in every generation. Bring out the faith of the Yid. Connect them to Hashem. That you're the head, yet they're the feet. Show them where to take you. Thanks for joining in person and online. We'll see you again soon. Tonight at 5:30 for Gemara.